Hi, welcome back to building JKR's Awakening World of Harry Potter by DragonflySara. That's me. And today we're going to be installing the Hogwarts wall and the road going from the school to the train station. Might sound a bit mundane, but I'll explain a bit as we go along to make it more interesting, I promise. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so to start off, we don't actually know anything about the appearance of the Hogwarts wall. We know that it encompasses the school and the forest, but as far as what it looks like, I couldn't find any information. I don't remember anything from the books, and there wasn't a description on the Harry Potter lexicon or anything like that to guide me. So what I did was take some information that I had gleaned from talking with my brother, who his fascination is not castles, it's defense, and so he's got lots of little bits of information about the appearance of structural walls and battlements and things. And according to him, and I thought I'd remembered this from some of my tours around Europe last summer as well, in around 1000 AD when Hogwarts was built, a castle wall would have probably been covered with plaster and painted. It would have been as much decorative as defense. And going from that, I decided that I would build the wall in, well, typically you build a wall this size in panels so that it's not this giant, long, just running away of you know, ugly gray. But what I would do is every other panel would have a picture on it. And I didn't want the same picture on every panel, so what I decided was that it would be picture, blank wall, picture different from the first. And I'd have 4 different pictures to use. So in the video right now, what you're seeing is my, well, at the moment I'm fixing what the top will look like. The crenellations, stepped on a wall, they're not called crenellations, I don't remember. Anyhow, the walkway on top of the wall. And I've already finished attempt 1 at the first picture. What I thought for the outside of the wall is that I would have things that you would relate to a castle in Scotland, in the wilderness. So the tree on the first one, and then this one right here, I'm installing vines. On a sort of trellis, but you know, it's embedded in the wall, it's part of the wall. Minecraft being what it is, the vines, I'm sure, will spread uncontrollably. I did learn a little bit of a trick after I finished the wall, and I may or may not go back and incorporate this into the design of the wall, but if I put barrier blocks on the edges of, or in front of where those vines are, then they won't actually be able to spread off of that panel. But you know what? Having the entire wall covered in vines won't necessarily be out of the ordinary or odd. So I think I'm going to leave it. The walls won't go over the wall because of the ledge. The staircase, they don't grow on staircases. Then you can see this third panel. It's a castle tower. obviously that's something you'd think of if you thought of a castle. You'd think of the castle tower. So that made sense. I had a little bit of a problem coming up with a fourth design. And what I settled on is maybe not something you think of with a castle, but something you think of with Hogwarts. And that would be Quidditch. So here I'm doing a pixel drawing of the golden snitch. Now remember, the golden snitch isn't gold. The wings are gold, but the body of the snitch is actually silver. So, and then by using the gold ore, I was able to make it look like the wings are almost moving, like you're getting a blurry view of the edge of the wings. Here, I had to go back and change the tree. It looked like a Christmas tree, and that wasn't my point. It was supposed to look like a forest tree. So it took me a little while to manipulate the tree so that it looked, well, a bit like that. So it was a little less triangular. On the back, I decided to do something a bit different. What I decided is that I would do the 4 elements, water, fire, earth, and wind. And I would do features that represented them. So water was easy because water is actually very easy to do in Minecraft, and so I just built a water feature on the opposite side of the tree. I hopped over to the other side when I got the water installed to make sure that it didn't look completely ridiculous coming through the leaves of that tree. And I thought it actually looked pretty good, so I continued on. And I did a little bit to make sure that as water mechanics improve through as we update our map to 1.13 and 1.14, I tried to make sure that the water wouldn't come flying out of the wall, particularly with the new water mechanics coming in out in 1.13. Segue. I haven't updated to 1.13 because my mods are not available in 1.13 yet, and building this project without my mods this project is going to take like 3 years to start with, so I don't want to do it without the modified building mechanics. The second element is fire, and I found a picture, there's a cartoon drawing of a flame, like a candle flame, and I used paint.net to reduce the image to 9 by 12 pixels, and then coded each pixel on a piece of paper according to dark red, light red, etc., and then just drew it out. I think it came out really well. The third panel is Earth, and I decided to draw a couple of mountains. You know, from the terraforming video, there are mountains all over the place. It's a good representation of Earth at Hogwarts, and I made sure that it was a textural picture, same as all of the others I've been doing. I added snow and grass, coarse dirt. I made sure that it wasn't just stone out there. And then I put the glowstone in for the heavenly body and decided maybe that was the moon and turned it into night. The last one is wind or air. Could not, for the life of me, do a pixel drawing of something like a cloud blowing out, but I was able to do some swirlies that sort of look like, you know, flying around. Then I moved on to copying the wall down. What happened, though, is when I got to a corner, I can't just copy the panels. But what I was able to do was to set go out from the wall the correct distance for the radius I was using. I was using a 23 block radius for wall corners. I would go out and stand where I wanted the corner to be, and then do a hollow cylinder, hcyl, of that radius, and I was able to then just build up the wall with a guide of an arc to start with. And WorldEdit is what has those the H cylinder is a command in WorldEdit. After I able to fill it in and it it works. I have to go back in a little bit and make it a little wider because it lined up perfectly with the wall panels, but after I put in the crenellation on the top, the pathway disappeared. So I had to. Oh, about here you're getting a good shot of the top of the wall. You notice you see glowstones embedded in the floor between each section, and that's because I needed the top of the wall to be unspawnable. Most of it is already because there are bottom slabs used, but they were able to spawn on top of the crenellation, so I had to light it up and prevent that. I am planning on going back and putting circular staircases inside the columns of the gate to give you something to get up on the wall if I don't come up with something else that's a little less obtrusive. See here, I'm expanding the wall like I told you I would have to do. And it was pretty easy, just using the Creative Builder's Wand from, I believe my Creative Builder's Wand is from Extra Utilities. On that note, something that I've been doing is putting all of the mods I'm using in my description, so go ahead and check that out. So, I'm just doing some finishing touches on that corner, and then what I did is by copying the corner, I had to copy two corners, an interior corner where the curve is inside the wall, and an exterior corner where the outside of the curve is on the outside of the wall. And I was able to copy and paste along the wall rather than having to build from scratch each time using WorldEdit copy paste. Okay, so now we have to put in the wall going, or the road rather, going around the wall to the west, to the lake, and then down to around to the train station. And what I did for most of it was a replace command. I just replaced grass with grass path in these 3 wide strips. Of course, I had to take out the trees that were in the way. I made sure that there were no trees between the road and the wall. So that doesn't factor in to the side of the castle that doesn't have a road, but my reasoning for that was that, again, in true castles, the area directly outside the wall would have been kept clear of brush and foliage so that defenders had a clear and concise view of any approaching hostility. When we had elevation changes, I just put a couple of oak stairs down. The oak has a good color to match the path. When I went to do turns, I would, particularly if the turns were near or adjacent to connecting another turn so that it sort of did a weaving path, I would edge the circle so that when I global masked grass and then did a circles at 21, 22, and 23. No, yeah, I'm still using a 23 arc. The border between at the edge of the circle wasn't changed because I'd masked to just change grass, and that way I didn't damage a previous arc by putting a new arc in. But going into the ground and doing a grass mask and then just doing the hollow cylinders again, I was able to put in the turns in the road really quickly, and then just using the creative destruction wands and the creative builder's wand, I could take out the road that didn't need to be there and build the dirt up to fill it in. Okay, so the last step to putting in the walls and the road was to go back to where the road had come too close to the edge of our map, which it did in a few places, and so it sort of made these gigantic cliffs right on the edge of the road. And I used the smoothing brush with natural blocks flag on it. So brush, smooth, my radius was 6 because I was doing gigantic swaths of area, but I put -n on the end so that it didn't move, well, the leaves on the top of the tree, it didn't lower them. It's a good little filter that I found for that brush that comes naturally in WorldEdit. Here, I had the water coming all the way up to the road like this, and I decided that instead of shortening the instead of shortening the water and bringing it in away from the road, I decided that maybe the road had to do a little bridge thing to get over the water here. And so I built a little bridge. I made it do sort of an arc thing so that it went up. The first time it goes up, it only has 1 space behind the stairs. The second time it has 2. The third time it has 3. And then I cleared out I hollowed out the bottom and drew out the water so that it was passing under the bridge rather than stopping at the edge of it. I went back at a later date and took out this extra dirt that I forgot to right there. And then I foliaged the area because I decided I didn't want the whole thing covered in snow all the time. As you can see, though, the water is freezing rather rapidly as I build, so the foliage may look ridiculous in a while. I added supports to the bridge because, I mean, it's a bridge, it has supports. And then went on to decorate the bridge. I put a railing in. I decided that the coloring didn't match. We're in the Scottish Highlands. The primarily the prevalent tree, as I understand it, is conifers. Pine, fir, spruce. So I went back and made the bridge wood a spruce all the way through. I added lighting at the beginning and the end of the bridge, and went back and changed out the path for spruce wood because the bridge wouldn't be, they wouldn't have put dirt up there and smoothed it. They would have built it with wood. And then I decided to cap the logs so that you wouldn't see the open. In nature, you won't see the open circles, the rings of a tree typically. They would be protected by something so that moisture wouldn't seep in. Put a little bit of decoration on the posts at the bottom, and I put nails in the supports using wooden buttons. The last area that I decorated in this sequence was this area on the south of the map. When I put the road in, I had to come over the water here. And because it's a curve, it was a little more, well, it's a little more difficult to elevate it. Elevating it one block right before the curve, not a big deal. Elevating it in the middle of a curve is a little bit more complicated. So what I did instead is I left it sort of on the water and then really decorated the area. I added, I enlarged the water feature so that it had a more natural curve at the end rather than a straight line across. I added some land underneath the water feature, sort of like an island out in the middle. I put glowstones in the water to do a couple of things. One, they are incredibly decorative. I like glowstones in nature because they're made of the brown, the gold, and the green pixels. So they have this nice natural look. I even switched to nighttime so that I could see what effect the glowstones were having. The glowstones also melt the ice, so they provide a changing environment, a regularly changing environment. Really enjoyed doing this little one here. We're going to be doing an even more elaborate southern over-the-water decoration when we put the lake in, because the road actually goes over the Great Lake for a little while, and I want to make sure to really decorate that. Hopefully we'll be in 113 by then. Okay, next time we're going to be building Hagrid's hut and the pumpkin patch in the small vegetable garden behind his little house. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button down below. If you've enjoyed my channel, please subscribe. And if you'd like a copy of The World, check me out on planetminecraft.com. See you next time.